The gang stalking, psychic attacks, and narcissism are just individual legs of the greater body that is the spiritual war. In part 1, they blinded my third eye. In part 2, 2 succubuses and Satan himself summoned me to try to make a deal. In part 3, a demon comes to me and admits she is exactly a demon. Just days after the demon left my life, another one came to me. But this one was a narcissist, which is an agent of darkness. The universe will keep giving the lesson until the lesson is learned. So stay tuned for this gruesome affair. My girlfriend is a narcissist agent of darkness.
Finding yourself in the talons of an owl and the shadows of the forest moonlight, it's a gruesome affair.
Within days of Lilith leaving my life, another one came to me. It was a vulnerable point. You know what breakups are like. I mean, usually they don't include a demonically possessed, probably synthetic clone throwing the book at you in a moment of demonic possession. But sometimes they do, as I have exactly experienced. The next lover that would try to bring a spiritual wrecking ball into my life would be a narcissist. When you recover from it all and reflect, you put the pieces together. It's like a puzzle. Little things that didn't make sense at the time make sense when you see the bigger picture in the cheap theater. When the way they acted didn't quite make sense, you realize it was all an act. It was disingenuous. And their intentions were evil from the start. They are vultures sent to prey on you. They are sent by the hive mind. They are sent by the rulers. They were sent by the authorities, and they were sent by the powers of this dark world. The narcissists are agents of the evil spiritual forces of the heavenly realms, as written in 2 Corinthians 11:14. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Well, this damsel in distress, this beautiful young woman certainly had the look of an angel of light. Her eyes were sharp, blue like light sky blue, and almost seemed to glow. Even so, she literally had a black eye when we met. Her name was Heather. I had never seen her before, even though she lived just a 10-minute walk from my place. One of my training friends that I go to the gym with, Andrew, said that she needed a place to stay. His wife was not comfortable having an attractive young woman stay with him. She had a black eye. Well, she had had an incident at her home. The story was that the black eye was from a fight Heather had with her boyfriend. And Heather fled their place and went to the only place she knew that was safe, Andrew's. So Andrew was trying to pass the problem my way. Another hot mess, another victim of beauty and madness, another demon, another minion of the evil hive sent to me while I was still licking my wounds from the last attack. These are spiritual vultures. Heather was brilliant. She talked a lot. She literally came over with Andrew, who only briefly stayed, and Heather just talked and talked. I told her that with her level of flow, she'd be a good writer. She said she wants to play music. She said she got accepted to a very elite music school. She said she doesn't party. She writes and plays music daily. She said people tell her to slow down and enjoy life, and she tells them that she likes being on the highway and not on the chair. She said that she has a lot of haters, her sisters, her own mother. She said that if a person has haters, then by definition, they also have fans. If you have haters, then you definitely have fans. You can't have one without the other. She said she knows things about people, but can't say them because people will just call her crazy. She said that she tries to do things right and to be a good person, but people just ignore her or give her hate, even her boyfriend. But she didn't talk much about him. She did say that he made her eat puke. She said that he spit in her mouth and called her a slave. And she said that he is just wasting his life away, that he has so much potential, but that he's going nowhere, and that he lets out his frustration by abusing her physically, emotionally, and spiritually. I asked, "You know, he isn't just ruining my life, he is also taking a piece of my soul," she said. And she continued, "I just want to be left alone. I just need space. But I don't have any money. I don't do opiates. Everything is just gray," she said. "Gray?" I asked. But she remained silent. I was mildly alarmed as she was just rambling. She talked a lot. She looked sharp. I enjoyed watching her sweet, oily lips speak this meandering stream of consciousness. At times, she said things profound, like about the relationship of haters and fans. My intuition is that she does have haters and silent fans. I think I was a little bit of both myself. I was a fan of this tousled bird mad girl, complete with a shiner on her eye. She wore the evidence of her victimhood for all the world to see. My intuition was also sending a weak signal to get her out of my house, get her out of my life, get her spiritually at a distance where I can do exactly the things she is claiming she wants: to be left alone, to have my space, to make my money, to not do opiates, such a weird thing to say, and to create a life where color returns. But I guess I still hadn't learned my lesson. I needed to spend more time in the school of stepping in Satan's traps. I needed more time on the crazy train of narcissist abuse. That's the thing about narcissistic abusers. They always pretend to be exactly what you wish they would be. They always claim to be the victim, and they slander their target, weaponize any and every weakness their target has spoken to them while they were pretending to be a trusting and caring lover, friend, or family member. In this case, the bruise on her face was her neon sign of a victim card. Did she stay over? Yeah, she did. And it all happened. I mean, obviously, this was all a bad idea. Please don't judge us. Honestly, would you have made the right decision in this situation? It was a synchronicity that she was sent to me. It was all too weird, too easy. I was still in the fallout of Lilith leaving. I had just exorcised a demon from my life. And then, right away, this bruised mad girl shows up and we both dive into passion and flesh from the first night. I had so many things I wanted to get done that week. Even just cleaning up, trying to keep the household in order. I did little of that. Heather and I were each other's worlds, like two stars captured in orbit of each other, and forgetting all about the orbits of the other planets further out. As the first days passed, her bruised eye slowly healed. It swelled at first, and when the skin tightened and restored, she looked rejuvenated, youthful, and her beauty was stunning. It all went so fast. She fell for me quickly, and the intimacy was, to say it mildly, good. She had little or no boundaries, so whatever I wanted to try with her, she would do. She was game. She wanted to satisfy my desires, and she did exactly this very well. I think Heather herself thought she was truly in love with me. Of course, my gut feeling was that something was off because, well, I know I am worthy of love, but this level of infatuation I was receiving seemed to be unrealistic. I don't think the narcissist preemptively plans the discard, at least not always. With Heather, she believed we really would live together forever, but something just seemed off about the idealization she threw at me. The dread was there, but we were having such an amazing time. It was just too hard to stop and quit the drug that our love was. It seemed too good to be true. Heather had no close friends. She said her father was a psychopath. He had slept with his cousin. He was a serial cheater and had been married 3 times. The latest wife was a narcissist herself and literally a gold digger. She pretends it's all one big happy family while she is scheming to move all of the family's assets to her own children. This bothered Heather a lot. How could the people in Heather's life not love this fascinating woman? Aside from Heather's beauty, she had a beautiful mind. She is an amazing guitar player, piano player, and singer. She writes little songs on napkins with a magic marker, and the songs are just beautiful. But the playbook started unfolding, and the elation of the new love soon, and in stages, shifted to obsession, anxiety, paranoia, and loneliness. Heather catastrophized minor events. A few months in, she could no longer always mask her cruel side. She would get nasty. Whatever the cause of the blow-up, it was always blamed on me. Eventually, I learned that everything is blamed and projected on me. I tried to appease her, and eventually things got good again, as the blow-ups always blame things on me, and her reactions were so strong. I started to feel pain and heartache. I thought that if I only try harder, I can make her happy. I doubled down on my efforts to show love to Heather. Meanwhile, she was putting in less and less effort, and she was not reciprocating the love that I was giving to her. But she sent love bomb words. It felt uneasy. She sent text messages that said, "I love you, I love you, I love you." But it didn't feel real. Her actions, and definitely her energy, did not match her words. Her love felt unsafe. The energy in the relationship cycled between devalue and reward, and I got hooked. I didn't call it that at the time. I learned the vocabulary afterwards. Vocabulary signals awareness. If one really understands the narcissist playbook, it no longer works. It's like government propaganda. Once you know the propaganda is trying to get you into a state of fear and manipulating you with false narratives and false flag events, you are no longer controlled by the program. You know too much. That is when you understand the evil narcissist playbook, and you see it. You see it in relationships, and you see it in the macro world, in the fake news, and the so-called crises of the problem, reaction, solution schemes of the propaganda. In narcissist romance, rebounds have intense intimacy, which I know now is chemically addictive. After such sessions of passion, I would think that it was all worth it after all. Looking back, losing yourself and losing your peace was not worth it at all, but now I know better. The crazy thing is that some of my friends were even jealous of me. They just didn't understand the daily dread and anxiety that I was living in. Heather played her games. The imbalance of power shifted until I had none. Everything was about her, and she threatened to unalive herself so many times it became normal. During arguments, Heather accused me of cheating and told me to go do what you want, be with someone else. She said she knows I don't love her as much as she loves me. It became impossible to make her happy. Actually, I think the one joy she had was seeing me suffer. and seeing her control the relationship, even though we were both living in hell. Heather was demonic. I know now that the narcissist is a familiar spirit that many here in Earthrealm will encounter. And this familiar spirit is a very jealous spirit. Heather had researched other women that had been in my life, and she isolated me with shame, insisting that I cut all ties with them. She regularly checks social media to know their current status. Our home was a place where I walked on eggshells. The wrong words, the wrong tone, and even the wrong expression or reply timing could trigger her rage at any moment. One time she asked me, "Do you think of other women when we are making love?" I took a breath to allow my thoughts to collect before speaking on that one. "You do. You can't even answer the question. I knew you were thinking of other women," she said. She wanted to tear me down, and there were no rules in her game. Even thoughts that I may or may not have had were reasons to fight, argue, and have hostility. I did what I could each day to not have another bad day. Everything she said was a lie, even small, unnecessary lies. I knew calling her out on her lies would make her rage, so I tried to avoid that. Heather got increasingly hostile, and it seemed everything was a double bind. Then came the triangulation. This is a word I fully understood in the aftermath. With Heather, I discovered she was regularly using Tinder while we lived together. I confronted her about it. Of course, it was my fault. "You don't make me feel loved. I just look at it to have someone tell me that I'm beautiful," she said. Of course, the story did not add up. The insane love bombing continued. When we were apart, she'd send insane text messages. "I love you, love you, love you." She said that her life purpose was to be with me. When she cooks, it's another fiasco of extremes. While she is working in the kitchen, she is not wearing anything at all except a plush and soft white cashmere sweater. This is very sexy. She's ready whenever I want it. In that moment, I felt that I have the best girl in the world. Other nights, she does nothing. She is moody. She accuses me of guilting her because she doesn't cook enough. This adds to the eggshell talk. I don't want her to feel guilty. I tried to be honest while she kept on lying. We promised to have sacred truth between each other, but that was just a power move because I was telling her the truth while her lies continued unmitigated. She knew she had the upper hand. This is not love. This is war, and she is winning. It is a spiritual war. And when I say she is winning, I mean she is winning the battle, but she is losing the war. Liars all get exposed. This is why narcissists are a bit like spiritual pickpocketers. Pickpocketing is a very profitable and relatively risk-free criminal lifestyle, but they always have to be changing cities. They cannot settle down, because if they do settle down in one place long enough, they will be found out. The narcissist is just like this, but they are not dipping their thieving fingers into your pocket. No, they are extending their evil tentacles of the evil hive mind hierarchy to try and suck dry your life energy and consume as much of your soul as you let them. When they are found out, they move on to their next target. They rewrite the narrative as them being the victim and the target as being the abuser. They exaggerate what they can and outright make things up. They make up sick things that no mortal human with a soul could even imagine. Narcissists are vampires. The amazing thing is that recovering from narcissistic abuse will make a person stronger than they ever imagined. It is a spiritual boot camp. If the dark hive mind will put that much effort into consuming your soul, just imagine how valuable your soul is. It is like in Matthew 4:10 when Satan took Jesus up on the mountain, and Satan showed Jesus all the world and the kingdoms and the glory. And Satan said to Jesus, "All these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me." And in enough words, Jesus replied, "With love, fuck you." And Satan departed. After Jesus refused Satan's offer, angels descended down from heaven and ministered him. You see, dear listener, the angels are part of your alliance, part of our alliance. And when you pass your tests, they will come to you, help you get back on your feet, and send messages to guide you. I know I shouldn't be participating in divinations, but in a weak moment, I consulted my deck of Rider White tarot cards. I shuffled the deck 3 times. I asked the deck to tell me what I need to know about this love life situation. I cut the deck into 3 stacks and took the middle stack to the top. I flipped the top 2 cards to reveal the message. It was 2 cards. The 8 of Wands. This card reveals 8 wands in a staggered formation moving through the air. The other card was the Tower. The Tower has an illustration of lightning striking a tower, with the crown toppling and fire erupting in the tower, and 2 souls falling down from the tower. The bedroom reading gave me chills. It didn't tell me anything I didn't already know, and this made me partially regret consulting the tarot cards. It just confirmed, 1, that the hierarchies that most mortals are not aware of are striking with a transformative assault on Earthrealm, and that in the microcosm of my life was a small war, a war between good and evil, truth and lies, love and abuse. The 8 of Wands confirmed the imminency of it all. It is in motion now, right now, today. This exact moment as these words are spoken or these words are heard. The shit is going down right now, right here, and it is very real. I felt more guilt for that divination, but sometimes a confirmation helps understand the gut feelings. I constantly felt unfulfilled. Everything was a promise but no deed, or a single deed as a show and then just cheap words. Everything I said was twisted. Experiences were re-scripted. She always scripted herself as the victim. Eventually, I realized I could write her scripts for her. She had become predictable. I had figured out her methods. I now understood why she literally used the words blaming me for gaslighting, manipulating, and she even used the word calculated. I realized why she was doing this. It was projection. The narcissist literally explains what they are doing in their own language by blaming it on you. This is projection. It started to happen more often. Her face would contort. The demonic energy that had a stronghold on her was manifesting in the 3D. Her face would contort like I was on a psychedelic, just subtly, but enough that I saw it. I told my dad that sometimes her face would contort and she looked demonic. My dad's reply was, "Yeah, I saw that." I knew the days were numbered. I knew her methods, but a part of me was still holding on to the hope that with enough clarity, she might realize that her methods are not just destroying me, but they are also destroying her. She was a master of self-sabotage. I tried to meditate. I would play meditation music. ring my Tibetan singing bowl, and start my meditation, the first thing I do is I list all the things that I am grateful for. I try to have gratitude. The fact is that we are all lucky to just be alive. If we have a home and have had something to eat today, if we are healthy and free, there is so much to be grateful for. After I practice the feeling of gratitude, I like to just lose myself in the astral and let the emptiness and clarity come. Sometimes messages come. Sometimes clarity comes. But Heather would throw pins in the apartment against the floor or wall. I knew it was a low-key sadistic method to try to keep me off my square. She does not like me to get a full night of sleep, and she does not like it when I get a solid meditation session without being interrupted. "Why did you do that?" I asked. "Do what?" she replied. She just wants chaos. She liked to keep her finger on the chaos trigger with the safety off. As soon as I looked away, she would pull the chaos trigger, and when I turned back to see what happened, she would pretend she didn't understand why all the chaos was happening, and of course, it is my fault, and of course, I am doing it to torture her. She wanted me to lash out at her. She'd love it if it got physical, but I would not give that to her. I remained calm. I was meditating in secret. I was trying to break through regularly. I added prayer to my meditation and prayed that the dark entity that is working through Heather would leave her. I made prayers to cast that demon out. Crazy as it sounds, it worked a little bit, but just a little bit. The smirk was there, but less. One afternoon, she put on a song. It was Led Zeppelin. She started singing along. "Baby, baby, I'm going to leave you in the summer." She said she liked the song and she was all smirking and singing it and undulating her shoulders while laying in bed and singing it. I knew that we would not make it to summer. I knew what message she was sending. I didn't call it out. The writing was on the wall. For the coming weeks, I guess fake was better than emptiness. I wasn't sure what she would try, but the conversations were predictable. The energy was predictable, fake and bad. We were not being intimate, and I knew she was being with others. She was getting gifts and favors from other men, and maybe some cash too. In an attempt to bring some adventure and spontaneity to us, I suggested that we go camping. Heather agreed, and that trip would be another thing that I wish I could forget. We went to an area not too far from where we lived, but definitely a deep forest and definitely rural, and we didn't encounter anyone on the hike out there. There were large boulders, and we tried to keep using our phones and flashlight to a minimum to preserve battery power. On the hike to the camping site, we had to climb rocks and walk through an increasingly dark forest. We pitched our tent. The thing about Heather is that it is often too good to be true, or so bad it is unreal with her. While we were hiking, it felt so real. The cool, misty air of the forest felt so real, so clean, so alive. Our conversation was indeed fascinating. Heather was, in fact, very brilliant. In my studies later, I would discover that intelligence without any morals is exactly evil. When we pitched the tent, I heard a bone-rattling screech from somewhere up high in a tree. There was a jump and a whip sound. It was an unnatural screech. It put me on alert. Heather had the smirk. She was enjoying the fear. It made me uneasy, but I stayed the course. The other option was to hike back in the dark with limited battery and lose precious energy. We were not intimate. and Heather's odor was a bit foul. It was like she had this chemical kind of scent. When we were ready to sleep in the tent, the screech happened again, but more intense. I didn't dare open the tent, and I didn't dare speak with Heather about it. I felt, if anything, she might be in on the terror. She seemed alert, but not fearful. Then there was a kind of purple light illuminating the fabric of the tent from above. Then there was a sound. The best way that I can describe it is it was like a vacuum cleaner that was powered on about tree height above the tent. Then there was a flash of white light from above. I was absolutely freaking out and trying to just stay calm. If one of us was going to panic, it was not going to be me. And honestly, Heather's calm demeanor was not comforting. It was always like she knows something. Then there was snapping noises from above in the trees. There was another loud screech, and then a sound like a gurgle began. What on earth is going on out there? I thought. I was starting to think this camping idea had been the worst idea I had had in quite a while. And doing anything with Heather was like sprinkling demon kill pills on anything. Then there was just silence. I could hear my breath and Heather's, which was calm. The light from above did continue. It faded and then came back as a low purple light, like a black light. At that point, I was equally intrigued as scared. The light narrowed into a beam, and it seemed to move down and be just directly about 10 feet in front of the tent. I sat up and looked at the light sparkling against the nylon material of the tent. Then the beam focused and rolled direction to focus on me. When it shined on me, the air was forced out of my lungs. I felt like I was in a vacuum and had no air in my lungs. I looked at Heather, who was also sitting up looking at the light, and noticed that her skin was glazed in sweat. She was smiling with that smirk. It felt like she understood what was happening, and the reason it was happening was to scare me, and to try and get me to be so scared that I will do something crazy. I felt the impulse to scream. I felt the impulse to run. But the protecting and loving spirit in me won this, and this is what I did. I accepted defeat. I realized that the game only lasts as long as you play it, and I wanted out. I wanted Heather out of my life. I knew that if I came back here with a healthy and God-fearing woman, that this forest would be our own Garden of Eden. I realized that with Heather, everywhere is hell. Everything is fear, gaslighting, baiting, slander, lies, blame shifting, and projection. It is hell, and I want out. She projected an illusion, and that illusion was a kind of survival theater of her minute-by-minute needs. I know she was spiritually possessed. When we got home the next day, we didn't even have to talk about it. She packed her things and left. She left her copy of the keys on the table in the living room. We both knew the game was over. At this point, it was onto the practicalities of it. I am sure she has a couple backup lovers, so she just moved her life and focus on their space, and would ride that for however long that supply is willing to play the game. As for me, I am done. I know too much. No more fear. No more people pleasing. No more giving homage to false narratives. No more caring for the gang stalking and the red Subaru. This all ended around the time the big medical event, the so-called you-know-what, ended. No actors in this tales received the devil's acupuncture. We did not comply. Life returned to more or less normal in the world and in my life. The spiritual war continues as real and as hard as ever, but I have found a kind of peace. I was alone for a period, but now I live with a woman I enjoy, I get good vibes from her. I feel we are growing together. There is trust, encouragement, and best of all, good food, good company, and good song. We got a new place, and the backyard is just forests. It is like living on the edge of reality and the Matrix. I guess that is where I live now. This has been a wild tale, and it is all true. I appreciate that there is a place like Smoking Owl Tales where we can share such tales from the Matrix. This story is about a healing wound that I thought I would carry forever. God rewards us, and He certainly has His color, flair, surprises, and creativity that we do not expect. When we speak of the concept of losing faith, He will flex, and for a little while His divine perfection is so obvious, and the fleeting thought of losing faith is laughed away from existence. It is a warm and fuzzy feeling to have God in your life, in your heart, and knowing that He is protecting us. And it is amazing that while the trucker hitchhiker tries to waste our energy on his needs, the gang stalkers try to get us to lose our minds and our life, and the perfect, masked, implacable lovers crash into our lives to destroy us with their lies, that we are still able to laugh from our core and enjoy gameplay in this beautiful world called Earthrealm. It makes total sense why the floors of so many lodges are literally paved with a black and white checkerboard pattern, like we are walking on a chessboard, and we are winning. The Alliance wins. It is written in scripture. The opposition's lies almost worked, but we can see right through them. They are obvious. It is cheap theater. It's been a fun show despite the bad acting. The nightmare has somehow turned into a kind of unreal comedy. I never did read the psalm that Lilith, the demon, could not. I read it sometime after. I am not sure if Lilith was just saying a psalm or any psalm, although the evil ones are usually very well versed in scripture. The evil ones are very aware of the spiritual war, and they are studying us, gang stalking us, speaking dark words over us, and always watching us. This is actually fine, and it is the way it has to be. So I will end the story with a sort of benediction of that Psalm 1. I know there really is meaning in there. Maybe another demon whispered in Lilith's ear to read Psalm 1. They did this not to torture me, but to torture her. You see, the ones who surrender to darkness will forever be tormented, mocked, and humiliated for making the weak and wrong choice. That's part of the trick. Those possessed by demons think they are winning when they are actually losing. They will hate themselves for this. Their spiritual attack failed. It backfired on them, and they will realize it was designed to do exactly that. Their complicity in evil was planned to be used against them from the start. The playbook is revealed. It is now clear that the evil hive mind and its cheap theatrics are attempts to get the anointed to self-destruct. They will lose, as prophesied. They have zero chance of winning. It is like that game of chess, where they are just delaying the inevitable loss, and when their illusion crumbles, watching them all rat each other out and point fingers within their own dark kingdom of lies and deception is going to be quite a show. I have my popcorn, butter, and salt all set for this amazing show. The apocalypse and the revelation. No fear. The end of the world is going to be awesome. I'd say I can't wait, but the spectacle of seeing the evil ones suffer in their own self-created hell is helping me to be patient. Most will not be coming with us to heaven to hear the echoes of laughter in the forests. Most do not even know the war is happening right now. It's crazy. Most don't realize these are the latter days, and the new earth is going to be a place where human souls are encouraged to fulfill God's great plan. We are the vampire slayers. We are the alchemists. We are the conspiracy theorists. And we are the Neos of the Matrix that know that being called crazy means you are no longer under control of the program. We are free. We are psychic. We are part of an alliance that will soon be over 1 billion. There is no place to register for this alliance. The leadership does not exist here in Earthrealm. Our leader is our creator, and our belief is truth and love. We have been targeted by gang stalkers for this, and that is just fine, because we are protected. The evil ones are not protected. Their own leadership mocks them. They are going to hell, and they know it, and they will not be joining us. This is the revival of ancient knowledge. This is the dawn of new light. This is the triumph of singular truth and unconditional love. This is the new dawn. Psalm 1 reads, "Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night. And he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in his season. His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. The ungodly are not so, but are like chaff which the wind driveth away. Therefore the ungodly shall not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. For the Lord knoweth the way of the righteous, but the way of the ungodly shall perish."
But the way of the ungodly shall perish. But the way of the ungodly shall perish.
Thank you, dear listener, for following along through the Valley of the Shadow of Death with Portland Thomas. This story had to be told, and I am thrilled and thankful that my hands were used amongst many others to do so, and the book is now on the shelf in the Library of Life. Thank you to the real Portland Thomas, who wrote to smokingowl@writeme.com with a brief message saying, "Please call me ASAP." There was an urgency to get this story written and told. I am also thrilled to announce an energetic track is now available on Spotify, Apple Music, and all major streaming services. This track is titled Eternal Soul by the Smoking Owl. I have. So now I know I am an eternal soul. It features spoken word samples from exactly this story series about Portland Thomas. A second track is on the way, also using samples from this series. Check it out if you hear the call, and follow the Smoking Owl also on Spotify or your favorite streaming service to catch future tracks. While the journey of the real Portland Thomas was a wild ride here in Earthrealm, Portland's story is no more and no less important than your own personal journey, which I know is also insane. This is just one story, just as your story is also just one of so many. The spiritual war is roaring exactly now here in Earthrealm in 2024 and beyond, and it is very real, and it is up to us as to how it all pans out and how much we enjoy the process. We already know who wins. So let's enjoy gameplay until the prophesized end of the world as we know it. It's been awesome having you visit for this horrible tale. Dusk is a time of transition. It's an owl's wake-up call. As the shadows grow longer and darkness takes over, the only thing to fear is fear itself. You can also catch Smoking Owl Tales on TikTok, Instagram, as well as podcasts, including Anchor, Spotify, and Apple. There are several mind-blowing collaboration stories in the works right now. If you feel the call, give a rip at the subscribe button and scratch at the comments. Stay longer now or catch you on another night very soon, because the story goes on and on and on and on.